I've always been a creator. Art, film, poetry, creepypasta. I even made a boat with a buddy of mine out of a toy monster truck motor, Pokemon cards, and a homemade sail. It worked. I just have way too many thoughts floating around in my head, and I wanted to share them, but I lacked genuineness and authenticity in my previous YouTube endeavors.
Every rock in here is authentic as well.
It's like the spacious sauna.
Yeah.
Now, do keep in mind that I will most likely not be consistent with my content, but I'll see what I can do. I am also not much of a script writer, so I just have notes that I'll be referring to. That aside, I wanted to start a series where I could express my thoughts in the healthiest way that I know how, and as someone who talks to themselves quite often, I figured, why not here? My name is Walker, and I'm going to start this series off with one of the hardest topics to discuss, and one that I've recently been dealing with, and that's how to deal with loss. So buckle up. I lost my father a few Sundays ago, February 9th, after an 8-year-long battle with Parkinson's. In the beginning years, it didn't really seem very rough, and being his son, it just kind of, to me, felt like this was an impossibility, like he was just going to overcome it, but not knowing how debilitating Parkinson's can be, I was slowly watching him succumb to this illness over the next couple of years. The crazy part to me is that I had just talked to him the night before. And I remember the very last thing that I said to him was I had put my arm on his shoulder and I had said, "I'll see you later." A couple hours later, the following morning, I got a call from my mother saying that she believes that my father had died in the night. I wasn't really sure what to think, so I had hurriedly put my clothes on, told my wife what was happening, and then got in the car and drove to her house. As soon as I got there, I found her crying, and I went to comfort her, and that's when I then asked where my father was, and she had pointed to his bedroom. While I waited on my brother to get there, I went into his room, and I just knelt down and sat next to him for a while, in absolute utter disbelief. One of the only things I wanted to do at that moment was just to beg him to wake up, because it didn't feel real to me. But I know that at least in the moment, that's kind of all I was thinking was this isn't real, this doesn't even make any sense. I just talked to him. And then my brother got there, and then the room was just full of emotion at that point. But with that being said, I know that some of the feelings I felt was that of immense responsibility, and especially being the older sibling in the household, and a lot of the first-time parenting tactics being used on me, I felt this responsibility to be strong and to support my family in times of stress or strife or grief or joy. I mean, any feeling that a family is going to go through, especially a family of 4 or even a family of 3, there's this responsibility that child has, being the oldest, to bring some type of serenity to the household or uniformity. In the moment, I took my feelings, I put them to the side, and then I focused on my mother and my brothers, and I'm not sure if that was the best choice because I haven't really been able to fully grieve since then. But I will say that the nice thing about Parkinson's is that it does give you quite a while to kind of come to grips with the reality of things, that this is going to slowly debilitate your loved one, but you get to spend time with them. It's just the worst part is you have to slowly watch them fall apart. And as someone who was a lifelong, extremely passionate musician, to see him unable to enact that passion with one of the greatest things that he cares about besides his family, it sucked. It sucked. I mean, he absolutely loved to play music. I'll put a link to his channel down in the description, but he played music often, and he had sold out many theaters and was just... he loved what he did, and it sucked to see him not being able to do it to the degree of which he used to be able to. With all that being said, one of the smartest things my mother did with regards to the situation was she had called my brother and I prior to calling the paramedics. I would highly recommend that to anybody who experiences an at-home death, especially one like this. I would say call family members and see if they can come. Especially if they're close by, because it allowed us to spend roughly 30 minutes with him, kind of grieving together and saying a genuine goodbye. Because Once the paramedics came, you had about 30 feet going in and out of every single room. You had the police there asking questions, making sure that this wasn't premeditated in any way, or, to make sure that there wasn't any foul play. We had neighbors coming over. There was so many people there once the ambulance arrived that we did not have time to be with just him alone. And I know that when they had him on the stretcher and they were getting ready to wheel him out, we really only had like 2 to 3 minutes to just say a final goodbye, pat him on the shoulder and say, I'll see you later. And it brought to perspective the fact that this is the last time I'm going to see him, and having that 30 minutes to actually be alone with him was genuinely priceless.
Well, that mother, she got older. She got older and older and older. And one day she called up her son on the phone and said, "You better come to see me because I'm very old and sick." So her son came to see her, and when he came in the door, she tried to sing the song. She sang, "I'll love you forever, I'll like you for always." But she couldn't finish because she was too old and sick. The son went to his mother. He picked her up, and he rocked her back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And as he rocked her, he sang this song.
I'll love you forever, I'll like you for always, as long as you're living, my mommy, you'll be.
The risk of love is loss, and the price of loss is grief. But the pain of grief is only a shadow when compared with the pain of never risking love. Hilary Stanton Zuden. We got to live the experience, and it's possible that the experience itself was enough. And that highly relates to what I wrote in my father's eulogy. I had mentioned that all of the memories and all of the experiences that I got to have with my father, they live on in me. And that is enough because I actually got to live side by side with the greatest man, in my opinion, ever. Merriam-Webster defines loss as the act or an instance of not having or being able to find, or a person or thing harmed, lost, or destroyed. This isn't just applicable to loved ones, but is an aspect of everyday life. We experience loss on a daily basis. Loss of a video game for casual play or our livelihood. Relationships we've devoted our time, love, and energy into, among several other things. Pets who have caught our hearts in the most genuine ways known to mankind. Even the loss of ourselves. Something that, if a path gone down, can sometimes be a choice that is unfixable. And I think that in scenarios of loss in our lives, there's a possibility where we can lose ourselves. Or we can be committed to something so much that we lose ourselves in the process. And it's virtually impossible to gain who we once were, or to even overcome that situation and be a better version of ourselves. However, the loss itself isn't the end-all be-all. It doesn't define the person, place, thing, or act itself. It's simply a natural result. We can't allow ourselves to be angry at the rain because it happened to fall, the same in which we can't allow ourselves to deprive the loved ones of said loss of our respect and love. So what does all this mean? It's okay to feel what comes natural at first, whether that be anger, sadness, resentment towards yourself or others, fear. It's okay. Whether your experience was positive or negative, your feelings are real and valid, but you have to accept them. I have to accept mine. The reality is, loss is ultimately unavoidable. You can run away or drink yourself into oblivion, but the loss you've experienced has happened, and until we accept it, will be haunted by the visions or memories of what was lost. We can't and won't forget, but what can't be will continue to live on within us. Carried by our mannerisms, behavior, demeanor, and words, my father deeply instilled that within me, and I believe that through the aforementioned, I can honor his memory. I honestly don't know what I'm talking about, but I think that's kind of the beauty of it all. None of us really do, and I think that that's beautiful in and of itself. There is no manual to life, nor a solution to all of our problems or strife. There doesn't always need to be, though. You are a beacon in the dark that has since been extinguished. A guiding light that serves such purpose, the very words I speak prove themselves unworthy. A weak attempt to describe the indescribable. And although my heart aches, a fire still burns in your wake, unwavering, undisturbed. A fire that serves me a source of light, one I need only bear with steadfast courage to blaze a path all my own. So what can we learn from all this? We make do with what we've been given, and I can tell you that life is going to give us plenty of lemons. I'm not suggesting that we make lemonade, it's just simply too cliche. But all I ask is that we appreciate the things for what they are and what they've given us. If the thing was positive or negative, there is something to be gained from that situation, irregardless. From each and every scenario of loss in our lives, there is something to be learned. From courage to faith or trust to love, we can continue to grow regardless of the circumstance. Your loved one will live on in your memories just as vibrant as you last remember them. Your game can be challenged again with newfound knowledge and experience. Your pet will still fill your heart with joy, just as they did when they pawed your face at 3 a.m. or ran off the leash to smell some bud. You have the rest of your life to discover who you are and what you stand for. There is absolutely no rush. But most importantly, it's you that defines the meaning of the loss you've experienced. The loss doesn't define you. Thank you so much for staying along for the ride. I know this wasn't your standard YouTube video, and I am definitely not a YouTube creator, so this is all new to me, but I appreciate you lending an ear. I think that each and every day will provide opportunities for growth, a test of sorts to continually teach us how to deal with loss. I can do it, and I know that you can too. Always keep your head up and walk tall.
Mr. Tanner was a cleaner from a town in the Midwest, and of all the cleaning shops around, he made his the best.